Alright, buckle up folks, because I'm about to take you on a wild ride through the plot of a movie that sounds like someone took the concept of The Matrix, sprinkled it with a dash of Ready Player One, and then decided, let's make it even more bonkers. So, we're in the future, and not just any future, a super advanced, shiny, techie future, where virtual reality is so lifelike, you can't tell if you're in the game or just having a really vivid dream after eating too much cheese. Enter big tech company. The kind of company that probably thinks launching cars into space is a bit too outdated and decides, you know what's fun? Making a VR game where if you die, you actually die. Surprise. So, one fine morning, 8 New Yorkers get a call. Not to save the city from an alien invasion or to join a flash mob, but to play this brand new VR game for a chance to win a cool $100,000. Despite the offer sounding sketchier than a $2 bill, all 8 of them are like, heck yeah, let's do this, and rock up at the address given. And guess what? They're all gamers. Shocking, I know. It's like finding out water is wet. The game's organizer, probably sitting in a villainous swivel chair, welcomes them with a one-way announcement, because who needs human interaction when you've got a potentially lethal game to play, right? They're told to sign their lives away. A contract, slip into their fancy motion suits, and basically become human-sized action figures ready for battle. Each suit is kitted out with more motion sensors than a paranoid homeowner's security system, designed to make them feel like they're in the latest Call of Duty game. Everyone's ready except for a dude named Terrorist, who's having a bit of an identity crisis, and is suspicious of the tech. Classic Terrorist, am I right? But since the game's as stubborn as a cat trying to fit into a too small box, it won't start until he's on board. So, after a little peer pressure, he suits up. Then bam! The room transforms into an abandoned building's interior that looks like it's seen better days. It's so realistic. They're all half convinced they've been teleported. Their gear morphs into army uniforms, and any personal identifiers like tattoos magically disappear. One guy tries to grab a beer bottle, but his hand phases through it like a ghost on a diet. Another dude lifts his helmet, sees they're still in the room, and probably thinks, well, that's anticlimactic. Outside, there's a chopper doing its best impression of an action movie hero, and one of the players, Reaper, is losing his mind with excitement. He's like that kid who just got told they're going to Disneyland, but with more guns and existential dread. The rest of the team is judging him hard, but he couldn't care less. Just as they're all wondering what on earth they've gotten themselves into, an army captain shows up like it's roll call at boot camp. The story of this game continues, where the line between the digital and the too real gets blurrier than your vision after a night out. Our heroes, fresh off their realization that Captain Pixel isn't as intimidating as his digital scowl suggests, are back in their stark white room, probably wondering if they've accidentally stumbled into a tech-savvy cult. Undeterred by the potential for a VR-induced existential crisis, they decide to go full cowboy and start shooting at bottles. Because nothing says, I'm a responsible adult in a high-tech simulation, quite like playing a round of who can shatter more virtual glass. That is, until Captain Buzzkill reappears and demonstrates on one unlucky player that their fancy body armor is about as useful as a chocolate teapot. Don't get hit again, he warns, in what might be the understatement of the century. The plot, as they say, thickens. The building's apparently swarming with terrorists that have more training than a barista at a hipster coffee shop. The player's mission, should they choose to accept it, is to battle their way to freedom, one floor at a time. To sweeten the deal, they're each handed a medikit, because nothing says good luck like a band-aid for bullet wounds. Our intrepid adventurers start off on the 25th floor, and it's all fun and games until someone actually gets shot at. Shooter, possibly named for his lack of subtlety, reveals he's actually got some skills, much to the relief of the group. From then on, it's a mix of cautious optimism and the dawning realization that they might not be in Kansas anymore. As they level down, the stakes go up. Alta turns into the group's very own Rambo, finding joy in the virtual gore while probably pondering his life choices. Reaper, on the other hand, seems to be playing a pacifist in a war game, nearly getting taken out before Shooter plays hero, at the cost of his own virtual safety net. Then there's Taylor, who apparently thought she was going to a sleepover, not a VR deathmatch. Her breakdown is comforted by Mustang, because nothing brings people together like mutual terror. But the real kicker comes when Cox gets shot and actually feels it. Yep, this game has upgraded to painfully real, folks. Cox's agony doesn't magically disappear when he takes off his helmet, leading to a medikit intervention that finally eases his pain. The realization that the game might actually be lethal is a light bulb moment for everyone, sparking theories that they're unwitting stars of some sadistic reality show. The desire to exit, stage left, becomes unanimous. In a twist that surprises absolutely no one, trying to take off their helmets doesn't work. Panic ensues, accusations fly, and shooter storms off like a teenager denied Wi-Fi. Meanwhile, the game's difficulty level has cranked up to nightmare, with terrorists popping up like unwelcome guests at a party. Before shooter can say, "I'm too old for this," he gets a virtual bullet in the back, proving that in this game, danger likes to sneak up on you. So what's the moral of the story? If a tech company offers you money to play a game that sounds too good to be true, maybe, just maybe, read the fine print. Or better yet, run in the opposite direction. So our band of not-so-merry players is outside, doing their best Matrix impressions to dodge bullets. Taylor, in a moment of "I'm outta here," tries to escape to a lower level, but the game's like, "Nope, nice try," slapping her with the virtual equivalent of a "do not pass go" card. Then there's Reaper, who decides it's a good time to play hot potato with a grenade, wiping out the enemy in a move that's half genius, half "I watched too many action movies." They all regroup, only to find shooter playing Sleeping Beauty in the hallway, minus the beauty part and, well, the sleeping. It's more of a permanent nap, which sends a clear message. This game doesn't do participation trophies. Cue the panic as terrorist comes up with a bright idea. Let's just take our helmets off, because clearly, the game hasn't given them enough reasons to believe this is a terrible idea. DeChafe, probably the only one who's read a horror story before, is like, "Guys, no." But Cox and terrorist, champions of bad decisions, go for it anyway. This prompts a visit from the virtual captain, who's had enough of their rule-breaking shenanigans and decides to teach terrorist a lesson in manners, virtual bootcamp style. Realizing they're not in a choose-your-own-adventure book, the group accepts that winning is their ticket out. They sneak down to the 20th floor, where they're greeted with a "no guns allowed" sign due to a gas leak, because nothing says safe like sneaking around with knives in a virtual gas bomb. In a twist that surprises no one, DeChafe nearly gets himself killed within seconds. But Alta, the group's resident action hero, saves the day. This guy's got survival instincts sharper than the knives they're forced to use. They slash their way through levels, losing medikits like they're going out of style. At one point, Mustang's holding the last medikit like it's the last rose on The Bachelor, trying to decide who gets to stay in the game of life. Then Terrorist, in a rare moment of usefulness, saves Cox with his medikit. They take a breather, probably contemplating their life choices and the lack of medikit loyalty points. But wait, there's more. Terrorist, not content with his previous attempts at rule-breaking, starts a one-man crusade against a glass wall. His reward? A one-on-one session with the virtual captain, who decides to add leg breaking to his resume. Terrorist, now more of a liability than an asset, plays the ultimate "I'll just wait here" card and bows out of the game. Literally. As they advance, the odds stack up against them. Taylor, who's been about as lethal as a kitten until now, suddenly finds her inner assassin and decides it's her turn to shine. After clearing the level, they all take a moment to share their life stories, revealing a tapestry of loneliness that's more depressing than an empty pizza box. Reaper's got a grandmother who wouldn't remember him if he won. Mustang's family is on a permanent vacation. DeChaife's backstory could win America's Got Talent. Taylor's still wondering how she got here. And Alta, well, Alta's just trying to figure out where it all went wrong. So they've just leveled up, literally, and stumble upon the captain giving a prisoner the old one too. But wait, there's a twist. The building's about to go kaboom because, obviously, what's a death game without a bomb? The prisoner, in between his spa treatment of shocks and zaps courtesy of DeChaife, coughs up the bomb code, Pushkin, because nothing says high stakes like using a poet's name for a bomb deactivation code. Reaper, perhaps too eager or just not a fan of Russian literature, punches in the code, and surprise, surprise, the building decides it's a great time to play Explode in 30 minutes. Alta, in a panic, does what any reasonable person would do, blame Reaper. Because obviously, it's all his fault the code didn't work. Their next mission? Race to the parking lot to stop the bomb manually. Because apparently, this game can't afford a decent bomb squad. Taylor, in a moment of proactive problem solving, decides the best course of action is to permanently silence the prisoner who gave them the bogus code. Efficiency at its finest. Then Alta has a moment. A big moment. The kind where he forgets they're supposed to be a team, and starts using Reaper as a punching bag out of sheer frustration. The captain, perhaps tired of watching the soap opera unfold, mercifully opens the elevator for them, only for it to betray Alta and Reaper by closing too soon. Because in this game, even the elevator has a vendetta. Alta and Reaper, now unwilling participants in the world's most stressful elevator ride, eventually disembark on the 3rd floor, with the clock ticking ominously. Reaper, ever the team player, suggests waiting for the others. Alta, however, channeling his inner villain, decides Reaper makes a great human shield and proceeds to use him as such. Teamwork? Never heard of it. In a shocking turn of events, if you haven't been paying attention, Reaper runs out of ammo, and Alta decides it's every man for himself, leaving Reaper to meet his untimely demise. Alta, now in hiding, sheds a tear not for the horror of his actions, but for the horror of his continued existence in this game. The others, blissfully unaware of the betrayal, continue their quest, stumbling upon Reaper's body with no idea that Alta's the reason he's now playing dead for real. They clear the floor of enemies, with Taylor seeking out more medikits, because apparently those are more precious than gold in this game. But oh, the drama intensifies when Alta and Taylor fight over the last medikit, leading to Taylor's demise at Alta's hands. Alta, now the game's resident backstabber, walks away, presumably to ponder his life choices, but really just feeling sorry for himself. Cox, the team's emotional support, finds Alta and offers comfort, mistakenly believing Alta's tears are for his fallen comrades. In what can only be described as the grand finale of the Hunger Games Budget Edition, Cox finds out Alta is the designated backstabber of the group. Naturally, Cox does what any rational person would do in such a scenario. He grabs the nearest fire extinguisher and goes to town on Alta. This, of course, makes the captain think Alta's trying to start a new fashion trend by removing his helmet. Because rules are rules, Alta gets the ultimate timeout, strangled to death. Our remaining trio of Cox, Mustang, and DeChief then decides it's time to leg it to the 1st floor, sprinting to the parking lot like it's Black Friday and they're late for the sales. The parking lot, however, has been confused for a war zone, with bullets flying left, right, and center. Cox, in a moment of chivalry that would make the knights of old blush, decides to play hero for Mustang, using the last medikit on her instead of himself. A true gentleman, sacrificing himself for a lady with the same enthusiasm one has when eagerly signing up to clean public restrooms. DeChief, in a twist that surprises absolutely no one who's been paying attention, turns out to be the mastermind behind this twisted game of Sims. He's like the kid who pulls the wings off flies for fun, but with a bigger budget. Mustang's reaction to this is cut short, as she's sedated faster than you can say plot twist. The cleanup crew then swoops in, deleting the dead player's data like it's a browser history after a questionable internet search. Mustang wakes up to find DeChief standing over her with a bag of money, like some twisted version of Santa Claus. He offers her a deal. Take the money, keep your mouth shut, and we'll call it even. But Mustang, in a display of defiance that would make Katniss Everdeen proud, decides she's not about to let things slide. She goes full ninja on the guy trying to sedate her again, turning the parking lot into her personal action movie set. Using the darkness as her ally, because who needs night vision goggles when you've got plot armor, she dispatches DeChief's goons with the ease of someone swatting flies. In the climactic showdown, Mustang throws the prize money at DeChief like it's a hot potato. She decides she's too good for blood money, probably thinking it wouldn't even cover therapy for this whole ordeal. Walking out of the building, she's the last woman standing, the sole survivor of the world's worst game night. Mustang walks away, presumably to live a life filled with therapy sessions and a newfound distrust of anyone wearing a helmet.